Welcome to Zoe Stories. My girlfriend's dare turned me into the perfect woman. I never expected a simple dare to change my life. But looking back, I should have known better. Emily always had a way of pushing my limits, pulling me into situations I never imagined myself in. And this time, she had outdone herself. My name is Jake. I'm 24 and, by all accounts, I'm an average guy. I work a desk job in IT, spend my weekends playing video games, and enjoy a quiet, predictable life. My girlfriend, Emily, is the complete opposite. Bold, adventurous, and always chasing the next thrill. She's the kind of person who books last-minute trips, talks her way into exclusive parties, and dares to ask the questions that others wouldn't. We met in college, and from the moment she walked into my life, everything changed. She had this energy that made the world feel bigger, more exciting. At first, I resisted. I liked my routines, my safety nets. But Emily? She lived to tear them down. Which brings me to the dare. It started as a joke, like most of her ideas. We were lounging on the couch one Friday night, half watching some reality show about drag queens. I wasn't really paying attention, but Emily was fascinated, eyes glued to the screen. Then, out of nowhere, she turned to me with that mischievous glint in her eyes, the look that meant she was up to something. "You should try it," she said, grinning. I blinked at her. Try what? Being a woman. Just for a weekend. I laughed, shaking my head. Yeah, no thanks. But she didn't let it go. Come on, it would be fun. I'll do all the work, makeup, outfit, everything. You wouldn't even recognize yourself. I rolled my eyes. Why would I do that? She leaned in closer, her smile widening. Because I dare you. Now, here's the thing about me. I hate backing down from a challenge. It's a stupid, prideful instinct, but the moment she framed it as a dare, she had me. Still, I try to be logical. And what do I get if I do this? Emily's eyes sparkled. The satisfaction of knowing you can pull it off. I scoffed. That's not a prize. Fine, she said, thinking for a moment. If you do this, really commit to it for a full weekend, I'll do whatever you want for a whole week. No complaints. That got my attention. Anything. Anything. I sat back, considering. It was ridiculous. Completely out of my comfort zone. But I also knew Emily. If I refused, she'd keep teasing me about it, calling me a coward. And if I went through with it, well, I'd get a week of total control. No arguments, no Jake, let's go hiking, or Jake, try this weird new sushi place. Just peace and quiet. It was an easy choice. Or at least, that's what I told myself. Fine, I said, crossing my arms. You're on. Emily squealed, clapping her hands together. Oh, this is going to be so good. I had no idea what I'd just signed up for. The next morning, I woke up to the sound of Emily rummaging through shopping bags. She had gone all out, makeup, wigs, clothes, even heels. My stomach twisted. I had agreed to this, but now that it was happening, doubt crept in. What if I looked ridiculous? What if someone found out? But as Emily turned to me, holding up a sleek dress with an excited grin, I realized something else. This wasn't just a game to her. She wanted to see how far I would go. And I wasn't about to back down. As I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the pile of clothes Emily had laid out for me, I felt a knot form in my stomach. This was real now. No more jokes, no more playful dares. I had actually agreed to this. Emily, on the other hand, was thrilled. She held up a black dress, her eyes practically sparkling with excitement. This one first, she said, as if we were just picking out a casual outfit for the day. I swallowed hard. Are you sure about this? She grinned. Oh, absolutely. I forced out a laugh, but my hands were clammy. The idea had seemed harmless last night, just another one of Emily's wild challenges. But now, staring at the dress, at the makeup scattered across the vanity, I felt something I hadn't expected. Fear. Not fear of the clothes themselves, but of what they meant. I wasn't the kind of guy who did things like this. I was practical, low maintenance. I barely put effort into men's fashion, let alone this. The thought of slipping into a dress, of painting my face with makeup, of looking in the mirror and seeing someone else staring back at me, it unsettled me in a way I couldn't quite explain. But another part of me, one I didn't want to acknowledge, was curious. What if Emily was right? What if she really could transform me into someone unrecognizable? Would I look convincing? Could I pass? The thought sent a shiver down my spine, half excitement, half terror. Emily must have sensed my hesitation, because she knelt in front of me, resting a hand on my knee. "Hey," she said gently, her teasing tone momentarily gone. "You don't have to do this if you really don't want to." I looked at her, surprised. "I thought you were dying to see me in a dress." She smirked. "Oh, I am. But I don't want you to hate it." That was the problem, though. I wasn't sure I would hate it, and that scared me more than anything. I exhaled slowly. "I'll do it." Emily beamed. "Okay. First things first, undress." I hesitated. "You could have at least bought me dinner first." She laughed, rolling her eyes. "Shut up and trust me." I peeled off my t-shirt and jeans, suddenly hyper-aware of how exposed I felt. Emily tossed me a set of lingerie, a lace bra, and matching panties. I raised an eyebrow. "Really? You said you wanted the full experience," she reminded me. I muttered a curse under my breath, but stepped into the underwear. The fabric was unfamiliar, soft in a way my usual clothes weren't. The bra felt strange against my chest, but not uncomfortable, just different. Then came the dress. It was a simple black number, tight at the waist, flowing just above the knees. As I pulled it over my head and let it settle around me, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. I didn't look like me anymore. My breath hitched. My shoulders looked slimmer, my posture different. The way the dress hugged my frame, the way the fabric moved, it was disorienting. Emily clapped her hands together. "You're already halfway there. Now for the fun part." I watched in stunned silence as she pulled out her makeup kit. I had no idea what I'd gotten myself into. I sat frozen as Emily prepped her makeup kit, laying out brushes, palettes, and lipsticks like a surgeon ready to operate. My pulse hammered in my ears. I could still back out. I could laugh it off, say I wasn't that desperate for a week of favors, that this was too much. But then Emily would smirk, call me a coward, and I'd never hear the end of it. Worse, I'd always wonder, what if? So instead, I swallowed my nerves and let her work. She started with foundation, brushing it over my skin in light, feathery strokes. The sensation was oddly soothing, but my mind was at war. What am I doing? What if someone finds out? What if I don't recognize myself when she's done? Emily, as if reading my thoughts, grinned. "Relax, babe. You're gonna love this." I wasn't convinced. As she applied contour, highlighter, and blush, I forced myself to breathe. But then came the eyeliner, and that's when panic really set in. "I can't do this," I muttered, pulling away. Emily frowned. "You're fine." "No, I ran a hand through my hair, my nerves spiraling. "This is crazy, right? I mean, what if I look ridiculous? What if?" She cut me off. "What if you look amazing?" I scoffed. "Not possible." Emily grabbed a mirror and held it up. "See for yourself." I braced myself, expecting a disaster. But when I looked, my breath caught. I didn't see me. The face staring back was softer, more refined. My cheekbones were sharper, my lips fuller. My eyes, lined with dark precision, looked beautiful. I gripped the mirror tighter, my chest tightening. This wasn't just a game anymore. Emily studied me carefully. "You okay?" I opened my mouth, but no words came out, because I wasn't sure how I felt. Before I could figure it out, she moved on to the wig, long, chestnut brown waves that cascaded over my shoulders. The final piece. As she adjusted it, I barely recognized the person in the mirror. Then she pulled out a pair of heels. I stared at them, my heartbeat thudding. "No way." Emily smirked. "You made it this far. Scared now?" I was. More than I wanted to admit. Because I wasn't just afraid of looking stupid. I was afraid I might like this. And if I did, then what? I stood in front of the mirror, staring at the reflection that wasn't me. The transformation was nearly complete, makeup flawless, wig cascading over my shoulders, the dress hugging my frame like it belonged. The only thing missing were the heels, and they sat on the floor in front of me, taunting me. Emily stood beside me, arms crossed, watching me carefully. She wasn't teasing anymore. This wasn't just a joke to her, it was a test. "Put them on," she said. I swallowed hard. "I don't know if I can." She tilted her head. "Why?"
Why?
Because everything about this felt like a line I wasn't supposed to cross. It was one thing to wear the clothes, to sit here while Emily worked her magic. But stepping into those heels, standing in them, walking in them, that made it real. I felt like I was standing on the edge of something dangerous, something unknown. If I put on those heels, if I took that first step, would I still be able to come back? Emily crouched down, picking up one of the shoes. She held it out to me, her expression unreadable. "No one's forcing you," she said softly. "But if you stop now, will you regret it?" I clenched my jaw. Regret. I didn't know. But I did know that I felt something right now, a deep, twisting feeling in my gut that wasn't just fear. It was something more. Curiosity. A quiet, unspoken part of me wanted to know what it would feel like. But then another thought crashed into my mind, hitting me like a freight train. What if I like it too much? I had spent my whole life believing I knew exactly who I was. I was just a guy, nothing complicated. I never questioned it, never wondered if there was something more. But now I wasn't so sure. I squeezed my eyes shut, willing the thoughts away. Then I felt Emily's hand on mine. I opened my eyes, and she smiled, warm and reassuring. "Just try," she whispered. "One step at a time." I hesitated for a moment longer. Then, with a deep breath, I took the shoe from her hands and slipped it on. Then the other. Emily straightened, taking a step back. "Now stand up." My heart pounded. My palms were sweaty. But I did it. The moment I rose, I felt unsteady, my ankles wobbling. The heels forced me to shift my weight, to stand with a different kind of posture, poised, elegant. Emily's eyes lit up. "Oh my God." I caught my reflection again, and my breath hitched. This wasn't just some guy playing dress up. This wasn't a joke anymore. I looked right. Emily stepped closer. "How do you feel?" I licked my lips, struggling to find the words. I don't know. But that was a lie. I knew exactly how I felt. Like I had just taken a step into something I could never walk away from. The first few steps in the heels were wobbly, uncertain, like a newborn deer learning to walk. My knees buckled slightly and I reached out, gripping the edge of the dresser for support. Emily stifled a giggle. "Okay, maybe I should have started you off with something shorter." I shot her a glare, but even as I did, I found myself laughing too, a nervous, breathless kind of laugh that barely masked the storm inside me. Because this wasn't a joke anymore. I wasn't just some guy fooling around in a dress. Something about the weight of the wig against my shoulders, the way the makeup softened my features, the way the dress hugged my body. It all felt too natural.
Too right.
Too much. I forced myself to focus on the mechanics of walking, watching Emily as she demonstrated. One foot in front of the other, smaller strides, hips shifting slightly. My first attempts were clumsy, but soon, something clicked. The heels weren't just an obstacle to overcome. They were shaping the way I moved, forcing a rhythm into my steps that felt graceful. "See?" Emily beamed. "You're getting it." I swallowed hard, staring at my reflection.
Was I?
The person in the mirror wasn't Jake anymore. The face looking back at me was softer, more refined. My eyes, lined with perfect strokes of black, had an intensity I'd never noticed before. The lips, my lips, were painted a deep, rich red. But it wasn't just about the makeup or the clothes. It was the way I stood, the way my body language had changed. Emily had done more than dress me up. She had rewritten me. And I wasn't sure I hated it. A strange tightness built in my chest. I took a slow breath, trying to shake the feeling, but it clung to me, wrapping itself around my ribs like a vice. "Why does this feel good?" Emily must have noticed my expression shift because her smile softened. "Hey." She stepped closer, her fingers grazing my arm. "You okay?" I blinked rapidly, snapping out of my thoughts.
Yeah.
"Just, this is a lot." Her head tilted, studying me. "A good lot? Or a bad lot?" I hesitated. I didn't know. Or maybe I did, and I just wasn't ready to admit it. Before I could answer, Emily grabbed my hand and pulled me toward the bed. "All right, now for the real test." I raised an eyebrow. "There's more?" She grinned mischievously. "You're not just gonna stand here looking pretty all night. We're going out." My stomach dropped. "What?" I yanked my hand back.
No way.
"Absolutely not." Emily folded her arms. "Oh, come on. You look amazing. No one will know." "That's not the point." My voice came out sharper than I intended, panic creeping in. "It's one thing to do this here in private, but going outside? Being seen like this?" I shook my head.
No.
Emily's expression softened. "Jake." "No," I repeated, stepping back. The motion felt foreign, the heels clicking against the floor, reminding me of how different everything was now. I turned away, pacing. My thoughts were a mess. What if someone recognized me? What if people stared? What if I liked it? That last thought hit me harder than the others. Emily didn't push me. She just sat on the bed, watching me with quiet patience. And that was the worst part, because the silence meant it was my decision. Not a dare. Not a game. Mine. I took a deep breath, my fingers trembling slightly as they brushed against the fabric of my dress. I wasn't sure what scared me more, being seen like this or the fact that a part of me wanted to be. Emily finally spoke, her voice gentle. "We don't have to go far.
Just a drive.
A quick stop at a gas station or something. Just to see." I stared at her.
Just to see.
As if this wasn't already changing me in ways I couldn't even begin to understand. But the worst part?
A part of me wanted to say yes.
The car ride was silent, except for the occasional hum of the tires against the road. My hands clutched the hem of my dress, my breath shallow, my heart hammering like it wanted to break free from my chest. I couldn't believe I'd said yes. Emily drove with an easy confidence, her fingers drumming against the steering wheel to the beat of some song playing softly on the radio. She glanced at me every now and then, a knowing smile tugging at her lips. "You okay?" she asked. I forced a nod. Yeah. It was a lie. I was drowning in the weight of what I'd just done. I had stepped into a world I didn't understand, a version of myself I didn't recognize. And now there was no turning back. We pulled into a gas station. It wasn't crowded, just a couple of cars, a man leaning against his truck, a cashier behind the counter visible through the glass storefront. Emily turned off the engine and unbuckled her seatbelt. I didn't move. My entire body had locked up. "I can't," I whispered. Emily didn't react, didn't sign frustration or roll her eyes. She just sat there, waiting, her expression calm. "What are you afraid of?" she finally asked. "Everything." I was afraid of people looking at me, of seeing their expressions shift from indifference to confusion, or worse, judgment. I was afraid of the way my body had responded to this transformation, the way I felt more aware of every movement, every breath. But most of all, I was afraid of how much I wanted this. Because deep down, past all the panic, past all the fear, there was something else.
A thrill.
A small, undeniable spark of excitement. Emily reached over, gently taking my hand. "Breathe," she said. I did.
In. Out. Slow.
Controlled. Then she smirked. "Besides, if you back out now, that means I win the bet." I let out a sharp laugh, more out of sheer disbelief than amusement. She knew me too well. I exhaled hard and reached for the door handle before I could change my mind. The second I stepped out of the car, the night air wrapped around me, cool against my exposed skin. The heels clicked against the pavement, grounding me in this moment, in this version of me I wasn't ready to accept, but couldn't ignore. The man by the truck glanced in my direction. Just for a second. A fleeting look before turning back to his phone. I had expected something more. A reaction. A smirk.
A double take.
But I was just another person stepping out of a car on a random night. Nothing more. Nothing less. Emily stepped beside me. "See," she murmured. I nodded slowly, my fingers curling into fists. I had spent the entire night fearing this moment, thinking it would break me, expose me. But instead, it freed me. And that was the scariest part of all. The drive back was different. The fear, the panic, it had all settled into something quieter. Not gone, but no longer suffocating me. I watched my reflection in the side mirror, the streetlights flickering across my face. My makeup was still intact, my lips still painted that deep red, the wig still perfectly in place. And yet, I felt different. Not because of the clothes. Not because of the makeup. Because I had stepped outside as someone else, and the world hadn't ended. No one had pointed, laughed, or whispered behind my back. No one had even given me a second glance. I had expected to feel exposed. Instead, I had felt seen. Emily pulled into my driveway, killing the engine. Neither of us moved. Finally, she turned to me, her voice soft. "So?" I swallowed hard. "I don't know." Emily didn't push. She just smiled, like she already understood something I hadn't figured out yet. I sighed and rested my head against the seat. It wasn't what I expected. She raised an eyebrow. "In a good way?" I hesitated. Then, slowly, I nodded. "Yeah." Silence stretched between us, comfortable this time. I thought back to when she had first dared me, how I had laughed, thinking this was just another ridiculous bet. But this was more than a dare now. More than a game. This had changed me. Maybe just a little. Maybe more than I wanted to admit. Emily nudged me playfully. "You know," she said, smirking, "we should do this again. Maybe next time, we go somewhere more exciting. A bar, maybe?" I rolled my eyes. "One step at a time." She grinned. That wasn't a no. I sighed, shaking my head. But deep down, I knew she was right. Because despite everything, despite all the fear and uncertainty, a part of me was already wondering what it would feel like to do this again. And that scared me more than anything else. Because I wasn't sure I wanted to stop. Thank you for joining us on another captivating journey through Zoe's stories. Remember to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a tale. Until next time, keep exploring, keep imagining, and keep believing in the magic of storytelling. See you in the next chapter.